What's up, everybody? Welcome to High School Never Ends, a pop punk dad podcast. And that's right, it's Chris 183 back again with another episode of High School Never Ends, or HSNE. Hey, it's week 2 of a big time month of August. Calling this month something very special, ladies and gentlemen. It's called the Summertime Weezer Spectacular. In case you didn't know, my favorite month is August. And so what a better month to title it this than this month. So we're gonna do that, and we did that. We have one episode behind us. Last week we talked about the Black Album with Jameson and had a lot to say about that, but oh, wow. We have so much to say about tonight's album. This is a big one, ladies and gentlemen. This is a big one for me. It should be a big one for you too. We're going to talk about the Green Album. And I have a lot of nostalgic ties to this one, but we'll get into that, and we'll get into some of the other reasons why. This is arguably one of the most important Weezer albums that ever was released, okay? And I'll talk about why. But before we do that, I brought a guest. And just like last time, we handpicked a very, very special guest for such a special episode. So without further ado, let me introduce a guy who is no stranger to High School Never Ends. He's a guy you might know from one of my favorite bands, and it should be one of yours too, Houston Calls. Welcome back to the show, Tom Kiger. What's up, Tom?
Woo! I'm back, baby. Thanks, Chris. This is okay, Chris. How many is this? Must be my 5th episode. I'm now reaching like co-host status or something, right?
I should have just built you into the intro. Like, I don't know why we didn't do that.
No. This is good. I really appreciate you having me back. This is awesome. I love Weezer. I can't wait to talk about this with you. And I'm very excited to hear your opinions after that intro you just did.
Yeah, I'm curious though. Like, I'm all over this one. Like, this is the biggest. This is huge. But I always wonder what other people think about Green. So that's why I was really excited to bring you on and hear somebody else's opinion about this album. Maybe you don't have the same nostalgia that I do for it. Maybe you don't draw the same conclusions I do. But we will find out. But hey, before we dive into it, I do want to just say for all of you out there that subscribe to our Patreon. First of all, thank you so much for your support. It definitely helps the show. And I don't have the list of people here in front of me, but you know who you are. We really appreciate your support, and we'll continue to put out unique content for you as we get through the months ahead. So with that, Tom, let's get into it. Let's talk about the importance of the Green Album. So before I get into what I have, what do you think is so important about this album? What are your thoughts?
This one came out. There was a lull, correct? There was a break, and I just got to put this disclaimer out here before any of this discussion happens that Blue Album and Pinkerton are probably in my top 10 to 15 albums of all time. I am a huge Weezer fan, so I'm just going to place that into the universe before we discuss anything. And so this was anticipated. This was 5 years removed from Pinkerton, I think. You keep me honest. 4 years? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So 4 and change removed from Pinkerton. So there's a lot of time in between it. And I was in my first or second year of college when this came out. So a pretty special time where I'm on my own and I'm listening to a lot of new music. So this one hit me pretty well. I am very familiar with it. I re-listened to it a lot, which is easy because it only clocks in at 28 minutes. So it's such a quick listen. And yeah, it brought me back. I don't know if I share the same nostalgia that you are going to share today, but I do have a little bit. And I enjoyed the album. It was fun to re-listen to it as my 44-year-old self So I enjoy getting into this. I'm excited to go track by track because I think we'll have some good things to say. I even oh Chris, I have this little Mustang guitar thing that I can plug into my electric guitar, and I can Bluetooth it to my phone, and I Spotify through the Mustang coming into my headphones, so I can actually play electric guitar along with anything on Spotify. And I was having a lot of fun rocking out to this album the other day.
Oh, no
Just
way. Really? That's awesome.
yeah, it's really fun, and I can just kind of walk around my house with it too. It's wireless, so it's plugs in my guitar. I got the Bluetooth. I can just, as long as I set up my phone, playing the music, and I get a variety of guitar sounds, like different amp sounds. I can go through like Marshall and Mesa and all these other clean sounds. It's really fun. So I like playing to this.
So you were playing to this. Could you pick it up right away, or was it pretty easy to pick up?
Yeah, this one's not a complicated album to play. I mean, there's a couple of parts here or there that are a little bit more complicated, but it's a pretty straightforward guitar playing album.
That's going to be a big part of a lot of the time. I'll say that a lot. Let's just put it that way. And I'm sure you will too. That this is straightforward. This is formulaic. But therein lies the charm, and I think there's a reason that they did that. So let's go back to the original question, the importance of the Green Album, and I think that appreciate your take on that. I want to draw it back to the Blue and Pinkerton, and I think we need to understand some things about that. And this may go out to those more that maybe aren't as big of fans, or maybe just stopped with Pinkerton, or maybe lost touch. I don't know, or maybe those that are fans that just didn't think about it. But we look back at Blue. Blue was a critical success, right? It was a widespread, sweeping success. So many hit singles, got Weezer on the map, gave them a sound. Then they came out with Pinkerton, and I know you said that Pinkerton is one of your top albums of all time.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask Tom from back in the 90s, is that still the case? Was it the case then versus now with Pinkerton?
Yes, I can honestly say that I am not one of the Weezer fans that rediscovered it and then became attached to it. When it came out, I was very into specifically the song Why Bother. We used to cover that song. I love that. I think that's track 4. I loved Butterfly. I used to play that song in like a coffee shop acoustically. And then Pink Triangle was also one of my top songs of all time. So, yes, I absolutely adored that album when it came out. I didn't understand why it didn't do as well. I understand it better now, looking back, to think, oh, wow, it just didn't reach the audiences that Blue Album reached for obvious reasons. But yes, I adored it.
So I'm with you too, by the way. I think that was what, mid 90s, like 95-ish, maybe 96. I can't remember exactly when Pinkerton came out, but it seemed like the mid 90s were the perfect time for Pinkerton to come out. It hit the vibe of everything. It hit the vibe of my flannel shirt that I was wearing. It was perfect, right? It's what I needed. But for the widespread, mainstream audience, they widely rejected this album. It was considered critically by a lot of disappointment based on what you read, and that's too bad, right? But that was the reality of it. And this album, Pinkerton, it was incredibly introspective. I think we know that fans of this album know that Rivers Cuomo wrote about himself to the detail. Like everything he was thinking went into Pinkerton from front to back. You knew where this pen pal almost lived, down to the street address and the house and the room she was in by what he described, right? When across the sea. So
Mm-hmm.
it was all about that. And the fact that he poured everything into that album that was emotionally his, and it got rejected, then had to take a toll. Okay. So I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to sit here and say that I know for sure that that played a major part in why he took a break, why Weezer went on hiatus, why they decided to stop for a while. I don't know because, Tom, this was also during a time where I didn't have constant access to information, and a lot of us didn't either. We had the internet, I believe, in some way, shape, or form, in the 90s, but I didn't really have the internet like you have it now. So I couldn't just look something up and get the full backstory on it. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew Weezer wasn't around anymore. And I had heard rumors from friends that he went to Harvard to get his education or to go back to school. I had heard that Matt Sharp had left the band for whatever his reasons were for doing that. And again, as a, whatever, 17, 18-year-old, I was just I was just thinking about the fact that, one of my favorite bands was gone. So that made me sad. Chris 183 was sad. I'm sure younger Tom was too. Okay. For a long time, and again, like, I don't know what your history is with bands taking long breaks during that point in time. I don't think that I really experienced that before. Had you experienced a band that you really liked go away for a 4-year period? I had not.
I don't think so. I don't recall that at all. And to be honest, I don't even know if I remember it being at that point in time, if the 5-year hiatus, 4.5 year hiatus even registered with me, or if I had just other music that I was listening to, so I didn't really feel like I lost Weezer. I am not sure, because to your point, I didn't have access to as much information, so maybe I didn't even know what was going on. I was like, why are they taking so long to put out an album? I don't know. Maybe I read in Rolling Stone or something like that, but
Yeah.
this would be the only time at that point in my life.
And I think you're right. Like, we fill the gaps with other stuff. Obviously, we love pop punk music. Punk music was out, Goldfinger, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that for me. Like, the list goes on. But I would listen to Blue. I would listen to Pinkerton, and I would think to myself, wow, this is all I'm going to get. So I think that, just kind of fast forwarding to, the 2000s, 2001, what I had read was, there were some learnings. Rivers decided that, in the time frame of 2000, 2001, that, there were some things that he recognized didn't hit with Pinkerton to the mainstream. I don't think he regretted writing it or putting it out, but I think that, he recognized that, hey, I want to write another album. And that came after some touring. And I think there were some other things in between, but, he wanted to get back to what Blue was. He wanted to do more, but more in that vein, and I think that that's where kind of Green started to blossom is, okay, so, pouring all of my vulnerability and emotion didn't necessarily work, critically. What if I brought it back to what made Blues special? What if I bring Rick Ocasek back to produce this album? What if I make it not so specific and more vague, but still have the same themes like love and relationships and girlfriends and that sort of thing? What if I do all of those things in addition to make it a super straightforward, easy to digest album, but the melodies are undeniable? What if I do all of these things? And I think that's what Green ended up being. Do you think I hit that right?
Yeah, I think to a point, yes, but I have some follow up questions for you. Which the first one would be: do you think Green is at all similar to Blue? What is the comparison that you want to draw between those two, aside from Rick Ocasek producing it, aside from the single color title of the album?
I just think it's just more straightforward popish rock, alt rock music. Like, it's not as deep, it's not as personal. It's themes that are a little bit lighter in the way that they're portrayed. Like, let's go back, like there's no Buddy Holly, but it's it's pop. There's a lot of ooh ohs and, whoa ohs and clapping and, fun boppy melodies and things you can get into. You can sing Blue. You can with Pinkerton though, it didn't really seem like it was either weird or it was just like, wow, this guy's like down in the dumps about something really bad, and I know all about it now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's hard. You're right. Like it's hard to describe,
I
but
think you're on to something though, and I'm sorry to
you're
cut you
good.
off there, but
Yeah,
I think blue and green have that similar kind of upbeat, positive nature to them, but there's something still that was shed moving to green, which was, there, and I know we'll talk about the songs, but just listening to Blue as a whole and the different instrumentation and the different tones and those sorts of things, like a song like Sweater Song. I mean, come on, there's nothing comparable to that, I would say on the Green album. I know Island in the Sun gets a little bit different, but Surf Wax America, like, come on, that
sure.
song is, but I see your point. I accept that point. I do think, I won't be able to put green above blue ever, but I can appreciate that they were reverting somewhat back to where they were.
And I'm not trying to do that. I hope that didn't come off that way. Like
No, no,
I don't think that
no.
I don't think that that's true. And I think blue's a masterpiece, and I don't think that green is a masterpiece in the same way. Like I think green's a masterpiece, and I'm going to use that term. I do think that, but
Okay.
I think you can't overtake what blue did because it was first, because it was iconic in so many ways. Surf Wax America, was that even a single? Like that wasn't even a single,
No.
but it's
Every
iconic.
song could have been a single on that album.
Yeah. So even Only in Dreams, I mean, what an amazing end to an album. But we're not
Hmm.
here to talk about Blue. But I think that you still have the you have the progression, but you have the you you go back to what made a lot of the themes, a lot of the ways that that album became special, and I think it really came down to easily digestible melodies, big choruses, things you could sing and latch on to, and I think that's what Pinkerton didn't do the same. It did it differently. And that's not a cut on that album. It's just a different album. Green did it a little bit more in the vein of blue. Okay, so we'll
Yep.
stop there.
Okay.
Here's a question for you too. Do you think if Pinkerton was a critical success, would we have gotten a different Weezer? Would they have been on a different trajectory if Pinkerton blew up?
I'm sure. I obviously can't put myself in the brains of the members, especially Rivers, but if that album was bigger than Blue, you'd have to imagine that the evolution or the progression of that band would be a lot different than Green. No matter what they say at that point, but that would influence a lot of things that you do because when you see that people gravitate towards this type and there's something inside that makes you feel really good. It's a part of that, everybody being enjoying that and bringing that to life. I think it would have been different. I have no idea what would have come. Maybe we would have jumped forward to a couple of albums later at that point, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think just plainly knowing the fact that there were a lot more Pinkerton-esque songs that had already been written that didn't end up going anywhere. I think they were on a B-side album or the Pinkerton session. I think that came out somewhere. I didn't get. I think that's expensive to get. Honestly, I think it's a box set or something. But excuse me. I think that we would have gotten probably something more along the lines of Pinkerton as a follow up. Yes, I do. Now, where they would have gone from there, I don't know. Would they would have evolved into Van Weezer and where they're at today? I don't know. I think eventually we probably would get there because of the fact because of what they because the transition wasn't necessarily that abrupt. I think that they would have got to that point anyway, but I think it would have been slower. And I think we would have gotten more of that type of music. So that's my thought. But that's not how things went. And what we got is Green. And what the other thing funny about Green is they came back 10 songs, like we said, very simple in nature, 28 minutes long, so not even 30 minutes. And it was exactly what I wanted. This was exactly what I wanted when they came back. Was this exactly what you wanted when you picked up that Green album after a 4 year hiatus?
I think parts of it I wanted, parts of it I didn't want, and I can get into that when we go to the songs. But I feel like when I turn on the album, it is what I wanted. It slowly starts to not be what I want later on,
Okay.
but they caught me from the beginning.
I think we're gonna go in we're gonna go in two different. We're gonna branch eventually. And listen, you have a different ear than I do. You're a musician. I'm not. I mean, potentially you see I mean, you see things in a different way, and I can appreciate that. Um, but the way that I appreciate this album is obviously a little bit different, and we'll talk about that too. So, um, okay, so I guess the only other question that I had was, and this is probably more for me because you already answered this, is would you have been okay with mostly anything at this point? For us out there that were huge, huge fans of this band, and we had to wait so long for another album, would you have been okay with would you have been an apologist for almost anything they put out? And I don't know, Tom. I'm not sure. I think it had to be something I could really like get into right away. And if I couldn't do that, I'm not sure if the melodies were off, if they were abstract, if it was artsy in a lot of ways that wasn't easily accessible. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I would have felt, but that's not what this was. So
They could have, for me, they could have put out an album with Hash Pipe, you that the B side "You Gave Your Love to Me Softly." I
yeah,
don't know if that is one of my favorite songs by them. They could have put that on there. They could have put Suzanne, like that sort of stuff would have been perfect for me at this point.
Suzanne, you're pulling out B side. Suzanne's great, by the way.
Yeah,
That's an awesome song. Okay, all right, there you
that
go.
that style, that's what I really like.
Mhm. So all the guys returned for this one except for Matt Sharp. He never came back. He went his own way. He got into another band, and I guess there was some uh, some arguments about some things, and instead we got Mikey Welsh. Mikey Welsh was the bassist on this album. Unfortunately, he did pass in 2011, but I think he definitely made a mark on the band. I don't know if he really got the opportunity to showcase all of his talents on this album because again, it was so straightforward and simplistic. From a musical ear though, like could you hear this new bassist? Did he have an impact on this album at all, Tom?
I don't know about the new bassist impact, but I know about the lack of Matt Sharp was very apparent to me, and I miss the falsetto background vocals that Matt Sharp brought to the first two out, like those high kind of almost off time on purpose, echoing, like all that stuff. And so it has nothing to do with the bass playing. But honestly, like for the bass, I didn't really pick up on much in terms of that transition, but I did miss the vocals that Matt Sharp brought.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing. It's too bad we only got that from one album, even though I think Brian Bell I think does a lot of the background stuff, since then, and I even think the drummer Pat Wilson does some of that too. But anyway, yeah, I don't blame you. I don't really hear a ton of bass on this one. It's in there, but it's kind of in the background. All right, let's go back to, the simplicity of the album and just talk about the album a little bit more. So, Rivers, he put the whole thing together. I think that we can all agree here that, they all include all the songs on this album. They include fun melodies, catchy harmonies, everything's well structured. And here's the thing, and I hopefully I'm not stealing any of your thunder, but do you the solos? So the guitar solos are the same on every single track. Was that going to be something you wanted to bring up?
I remember, yeah, yes, I remember thinking that the first time I heard the album because I got lost in it. There was a time talking about the album American Idiot where there's just these pick scrapes all over the place. It's just something that sticks out to me. Very similarly, would be every solo being a melody, like either the verse or the chorus melody, and it was just like, well, I know it's coming again. And that's not a terrible thing because the melodies, to your earlier point, are catchy. They're great hooks. It just seemed kind of phoned in after a while. Like here's the lazy way to just get through this song is the way I took it. So yeah, absolutely something that I noticed immediately and would have mentioned.
I just I just don't know, like, would these songs be as impactful if they had these huge artistic sweeping guitar solos? Like I don't like an Olean Dreams guitar solo on Island in the Sun. It kind of wouldn't fit, right?
No, I don't think it would have. I think you're right. But there could have been something else. At least you don't have to do a solo in the song, Chris, or they could have left it out for one and maybe did something else. I don't know what that would have been in any of these songs, but I would have liked to hear at least one of the 10 tracks stray from that formula.
So that said, I enjoyed the structural nature of these because I just I really liked what I got in track one, and the fact that they kept giving me the same formula with new melodies that I ended up really liking one after another. I never got tired of what I was listening to. So I was okay with it, but the structure was there. It was the same thing over and over and over again, just done different ways. Is that a problem for you? I know you just got done talking about the solos, but what about the each song, in the structure as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, the basic song structure I have no problem with because that's pretty tried and true for most songs. Verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, maybe doubled. Totally fine. And solo would be, you could interchange solo and bridge or combine them. I have no problem with that. I think if we go back and analyze Blue Album and Pinkerton, you're still probably going to have similar structures. It's just not going to feel the same because of the ways that they mixed it up with maybe a verse guitar part would be a little different, or like I was saying before about the instrumentation, or just some slightly different guitar tones. There's a lot of that in this album. It's a beautiful sounding guitar, I'll give it that, but it's a lot of that just straightforward, like rolling guitar, just doom doom, like full chords just playing. And I think that's what, after you hear that for a while, I at least for me, I get kind of lost in it. I can't really discern where I am in the song, or at some point, what song am I listening to?
Maybe it's just because I listened to it a billion times. Maybe that's part of it too.
That probably is a good part of it.
You're not way off though. Like I get it, and if I wasn't in my shoes, I could see where that would be the case. So that's fine. I mean, everybody hears things differently, and I wanted to move on here and talk about some of the stats of the album. So we talked about. Well, I want to kind of intermix one more thing. So we talked about when this came out, May of 2001. So this is a pop punk dad podcast. It's about pop punk dads. We're pop punk dads, but we have nostalgia. We have history. So 2001, I'm graduating college. I graduate college in June. I go to the beach with my friends in right around like the June timeframe. I go out and buy this album right as soon as I graduate. So this is my like first of all, Weezer's coming back. I have this new Green album in my possession, and I'm going to the beach with my buddies for a week. You could imagine how that's like super memorable, and that'll never leave my head in terms of that experience and listening to that album over and over again and getting really pumped up about what was going on in my life at that point in time. So, a lot of ties back to that. And we already talked about the build for 4 years from when I thought there would be no more Weezer, but you said you were actually getting into college. Any other nostalgia for when this came out, or any other stories from when you got this or hearing it for the first time?
Yeah, I must have been I was finishing my first year of college at that point. And I know I had a friend who used to have like he was into cars, and those people, and maybe you are one of those people, in which I have no problem, and I love that
Nope.
people like this stuff. Okay, this guy's really into cars, and he was really into his woofer and the system in his car. He's one of those people that really likes the speaker system. He had a Golf or a GTI or something like that, and I remember very vividly because the way this album starts. It's the doom doom doom, like just a lot of bass, and so I have this very strong memory of hearing that and feeling that bass at the beginning, like the toms and just the drums, and just it felt good, and it's a really good album to listen to really loudly because of just the simplicity of it. You don't get, nothing drowns out other stuff. The guitars, it's like a wall of guitar. It just sounds beautiful. And I never thought of it, but I feel like this is a great beach album. This is a really good summer album. I had never put that together, but I just imagined myself listening to something, because a lot of the melodies feel really good on the beach, a lot of that. So I completely understand why that would be very important to you in that time.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, exactly. Like that's what I'm talking about. And also like even all the girlfriend relationship stuff. Like for me, I was, in between and whatever, back and forth. I nothing was like it was that time of my life where, you had broken up and you were thinking about that. Maybe there was another girlfriend and that didn't work out. Or maybe and I think that all kind of connected for me at the time. And it was just the perfect album at the perfect time. So a lot of that ties back to my thoughts and feelings on this too. So keep that in mind as I go through and I wax nostalgic about the Green album.
You can't replace a feeling like that. It's a beautiful thing when you get something like that. And so I have everything, but I mean, I respect that sentimentality and nostalgia that you bring to this 100%, because that is what makes music so special.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So some other stats that I wanted to mention too is this is their third studio album. I think we said that ad nauseum, but I will say it again. It is the third one, but it is only the second one that has a color, because we had blue and then this is green. Started a trend, which the trend still holds true to today, the year of 2026, which is pretty awesome. We talked about the 4 year hiatus between Pinkerton and Green. This album was certified platinum in September of 2001, so it didn't take that long to get to that point. And what's really also interesting is compared to Pinkerton, this album moved 215,000 albums in 1 week after it was launched. Is that a lot of albums to move in 1 week, Tom?
215,000?
Mm-hmm.
That's a ton of albums. I mean, today that would be obviously ridiculous if there were actual physical copies. But I'd say anything in over 100,000 in a week is gonna be a massive success. Now, I don't know the stats of other albums in 2001 where it could have been, a lot more. But I mean, come on, between you and me, that sounds like a ton of 215,000 of your CDs being bought in 1 week's time is just
Yeah.
absurd.
That's a lot of Sam Goodies and Best Buys and
Yeah.
yeah,
Those
a lot
end
of
caps just
albums.
emptied out. All those end caps emptied out.
Yeah, they had some singles off of this one: Hash Pipe, Island in the Sun, and Photograph, which I didn't know was a single.
I
I had
didn't
no
either.
idea, but
No,
it
I didn't know
was.
that.
Hash Pipe was the initial single off of the album, unless Photograph snuck in there. I think that might have been later that I just didn't know about. But we can talk about the Hash Pipe stuff when we get to that song. Um, couple other things that I don't think you knew about. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. So I did some digging on the transition from Green to Maladroit because I find maybe I do find similarities between Green and Maladroit in a lot of ways. And what's funny is that a lot of the songs that ended up on Maladroit were written either alongside or immediately following the release of this album. One of them was Dope Nose. That was actually written alongside of Hash Pipe. So
Hmm.
he wrote those songs almost at the same time. And if you listen to them both, like they are super similar in nature. They're not the same song, but they're similar in nature. And I always thought that growing up, but I didn't really ever know that. So I guess that kind of just solves that mystery. Um,
Can I ask you
Slot.
a question about
Yeah, go
this?
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
While you're talking about Maladroit, I
It's,
I need to know your progression with Weezer because for me, you mentioned all the color albums. I couldn't tell you all the remaining color albums. I think there was a red one,
yeah.
I believe, and a teal one, and
Mhm.
maybe there were more. So, what's your relationship with Weezer past this and Maladroit?
Oh, I was buying Weezer albums all the way up through I'd say Pacific Daydream, and then I kind of fell off a little bit there. That's when things kind of were a little bit. It was a little bit tougher to get CDs, I guess. Started getting more digital, so I didn't have when I wasn't able to buy CDs anymore. I didn't seek out Weezer stuff as much, and I kind of drifted away and really got into some other stuff. I never really left it fully, but there were some later albums that, and I talk about this when we talk about Black, that I didn't connect with as much. So when you get up through, the Black album, and then subsequently, I think I got back in like White before that was good, but it got a little spotty around like the late 2000s, late 2000 teens, I should say, is when
Okay.
I kind of maybe separated a little bit from the band.
So, Ratitude is on your radar big time.
I was always a
That
fan of that album. I know that it's panned tremendously, but I don't know. I don't dislike it. I think there's some fun stuff on there. I don't think it's all great, but
that was when their album covers started getting really wacky, right?
that was the dog. Yeah. That's also the album they had Lil Wayne on, Can't Stop Partying. What's
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
There listen, this is the last I'll say about anything but this album, but there is a live version of Can't Stop Partying that's done by Rivers, and he does it in front of a live crowd, but it's done in a way that isn't like a Lil Wayne rap song like I got all this cash. It's more of like this sad person that can never let go of the lifestyle of going out and partying. Like he sings it from somebody that you feel bad for.
Hmm.
Go check that out. Like it gives it a whole different dynamic. But hopefully that answered your question. I know it was a little vague, but
No, that's good.
you
I
know,
understand it.
sometimes yeah, Weezer's had a lot of albums, and as human beings, and the fact that we like other things, sometimes you move in and out. So
Yep.
it's just natural.
That's,
So I think that was it. I did want to call out like there was some other songs that predated Green, like Slob that was on Maladroit. It actually came out before Green, but in any case, a lot of good stuff during this period of time. I think my point is this: is that Rivers was putting out a lot of great music. He was writing music. A lot of it ended up on Green that we'll talk about here today. So with that, Tom, I think that unless there's anything else that you want to bring up or chat about, we can dive into this song by song.
The only thing I think is noteworthy before we go to the songs is that isn't Island in the Sun their biggest song? I mean, technically speaking, by streams, it is just a massive song. Is that
It,
accurate?
I think the words are iconic, and I think the word also is how did I want to put it? Cultural mainstay.
Okay.
Like culturally, if you said Weezer, what would people say? I mean, now they would say Africa, which makes me sad. It really does because I don't want the band to be known for a cover song, but Island in the Sun is pretty iconic. Like I could go to a bowling alley and hear Island in the Sun, right? I
Yep.
could go to a beach bar and hear Island in the Sun. So yeah, I agree. It's definitely it's arguably their top song. What do you think? What do you
Yeah,
think?
I do. I mean, it's the billion club, right? And when you get to the billion club, you're right. That is just the song that I think most people associate Weezer with at this point. You ask a lot of different generations, you'll probably still get that answer. I know you said Africa, but there's probably a large amount of people that would answer this,
You know
which
why I
is
say
interesting. It's different from all the other songs in the album. I know we'll get into that, but
it is? It is. You know why I say Africa though? Because I keep hearing this advertisement for I think it's an iHeartRadio festival or something coming up here this summer, and they're like blah 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 band, and then you hear like a clip, and they're like Weezer, and it's like I bless the rains down in Africa. I was like, that's the song that you play for people to know who Weezer is. Like, come on.
I know it's kind of strange.
I get it's you know it's whatever. It's whatever. I'm not going to be mad because there's no point. If they like the band I like because of a cover, then so be it. But anyway, Tom, a lot. There's actually I had a follow up question for Island in the Sun, but I'll save it.
Okay.
So let's dive right in and let's put the CD into the CD player, hit play, turn those subwoofers on. And by the way, I did have subwoofers. Okay. I said I wasn't a car guy, but I had them. I didn't care about the car. I just cared about the sound. I just wanted it to sound good. And I had subs. I don't remember listening to this album in that car, though. I think I had a different car by then. Anyway, we pop it into the CD. It starts off with bump, 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 burnt with that big intro. And you start with Don't Let Go. Tom, what do you think about this track, the first track on the album Green?
You talk a lot about the intro song being the make or break of an album, and this is perfect. I think it's a great start. The simplicity of the intro. I love that four knocks in. Like that feels really good. The guitar is so powerful throughout this entire album. I know I said this before, but I love the guitar tone on this album. It's so clean. It just to me it sounds like a Gibson, and I know he plays Gibsons at least before. It sounds like a Gibson SG coming out of a Marshall amp, which is a setup that I had, and it just the sound is so perfect. So yeah, this song, right in driving, I'm into it. The melodies are awesome, so good. I love the high guitar sound. Like there's this really high guitar sound that's kind of driving over the power chords. It's like a which just fills it all out and gives it a nice kind of overall tone. And then the other part I highlight in the song is it's a simple part, but at the end of the song, there's kind of that callback to the drums at the beginning, that dun 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 when they're going to the outro. It's not the exact same, but he's doing a little tom action, like some toms in there. I love that. It's just it to me it like goes on this full circle of awesomeness where we start with the boom 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 and we end with the dun 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 ooh oh dun 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 and then we're out. So it is just a phenomenal intro song. I love this. I love this track.
I can hear that in my head, by the way. I was trying to think about where that was. I'm like, yep, now I know. Now I know. That's perfect. How do you decide to play a Gibson with a Marshall amp? Like when how do you know? Like how do you make that decision? You just
Who,
try
like
different things?
as a guitar player or like a
Yeah, like
musician,
do
you
you
mean?
just try like different combinations until it sounds a certain way or
Yeah, I mean for me, and maybe a lot of people are like this, it's like when you play with bands, I was always listening to I was looking at what they had, I was looking at what they played with, and I was hearing if I heard a guitar sound that I really liked, a tone that I really liked, for example, I would inquire or I'd just go look like what are they playing with? And there's just this classic sound. You've got your two major guitar. You got the Gibson, you got the Fender. And after you listen and play them for a long time, it's very easy as a musician at least, and maybe even others, to pick out the sound of a Gibson and the sound of the Fender. And the Fender, you can kind of hear more of the strings. Like you can hear a lot of the strings, a little twangier. And the Gibson is just like so solidly power chord friendly, like you hear on this album. So it's just whatever you envision for your act at that time, whatever you're going for. And I think this is a perfect example of how beautiful a Gibson can sound. And I'm just guessing it's a Marshall. I could be wrong, but it's like it's the perfect guitar sound.
all you have to do is look at the cover of the album and see the guitar he's holding in his hand. I bet
is
you
it
that's
is,
it.
is it a Gibson? I didn't even.
I can't tell. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell.
Okay.
I'm sure there's if you ask
It might even be a
ChatGPT,
Fender. It'd be funny if it was a Fender. It
it's
looks like
really
it
hard
is.
to see.
It looks like a Fender, actually.
Is it?
Just based on the headstock. Like when you see that headstock, that's not a Gibson. But that doesn't mean he played that on the album.
That's
You
true.
never know.
That's true.
It
They could
just
have
sounds
just
like
been
a
holding
Gibson
that.
to me.
Yeah. Yeah, you said a whole bunch of great things here, and I think that I would reiterate a lot of this. It's just, I think this song had to really knock it out of the park in a lot of ways for this album to be successful. And I think that based on the amount that it sold, I think that based on my reaction as a fan, I think that even your reaction as a fan, even though you obviously are openly a little bit more critical about some of the other songs on this album, this one knocked it out of the park from the start. And it was exactly what Weezer fans wanted. Don't Let Go starts that formula. It starts us off. All it really is, Tom, is it's a whoa, 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 and then it's a verse, and then it's a huge chorus. It's a little bit of guitars. It's that solo with a little bit of little bit of reverb, little bit of distortion on it, and then you just rinse and repeat, and then you kind of end it up. But the melody here is so simplistic. It's so easy to sing to. Like, I love that so much. The fact that I could sing this, it's fun to sing, and I love the way the melody goes up and down. Dun 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 bum bum. Like it's so easy. It's so
Mm.
simple, but and then they do the key change when they get to a certain part. I think it's but if there comes a day, like that seems like it's a key change, but the transitions are perfect. Um the note progressions, I just talked about that. It's just right up my alley. There's a nice drum crescendo towards the finish too, where the drum like builds to a crescendo, and then they finish it off with a "Don't Let Go," "Ooh whoa whoas" at the end. So, man, this is it's quite an opening song. It's just quite an opening song, and it's so Weezer too. It's so Weezer too. I know it's cliche to say that, but right off the bat, like you're like, okay, wow, this is exactly what this is the upbeat fun that I want from this band right away. It still has the energy and emotion of everything they put out so far, but it feels and sounds new, and I want more of this, and this is what this is. So, Don't Let Go to me was just like 3 golden stars as a result of that, and a great intro track.
Mm-hmm. And I gotta correct myself too, Chris. I'm sorry because I just when I was thinking about that guitar discussion, I remember this. I remembered back to the "Say It Ain't So" video, and he's definitely playing a Fender in that.
Mm.
So I don't know if it's a Gibson. Now I'm worried, but who cares? The guitar sounds awesome. It doesn't matter what guitar it is. It sounds beautiful.
I'm sure there's Weezer fans out there that will correct you
Hopefully,
or
help
will
me out
back
here.
you. They'll back you because you're correct. One more thing about this song, and I have to bring it up, and it's not true, but it's not true at all because it's just me putting things together that that don't belong together. But the "Don't Let Go," it for a while, I always thought it was Rivers talking to the fans, to "Don't let go when we were gone." Like, thank you for sticking with us.
That's cool. I like that interpretation.
Confrontations in my mind, like, our people, like the Pinkerton thing, the confrontation that I got from that album. I'll never forget that. But hey, everybody out there, don't let go. Like, we got more for you. And here it is. And that's not what it's about. I think it's just face value about a relationship with a girl or a guy or whatever, right? It's just straightforward. But I love thinking about it that way because I think it could be.
I like that
Okay.
too. I love that thought.
All right, so we had a big one to start. We start track 2, "Photograph," which is apparently a single, right? And so you're thinking to yourself, okay, what do we do now? And it's another banger, Tom. It's this is a banger in a different way. But it's immediately memorable in a lot of ways. It starts off with that real crunchy distortion sound, which lasts just long enough. It does that. It has the same melody solo later in the song. It has the 1-2 time clap beat too, which, hey, by the way, clapping done correctly, I'm okay with, right? I'm okay with that. Not a big
You're good. You're
deal.
good with it here. Just it's just a little bit at the beginning, right? Is that where it is? Only.
Yeah, but it works so good. It just works so good here. And it's throughout. You can hear the clapping. It's
Oh,
it's
okay,
mixed
okay.
throughout.
You gotta have the oohs in there. I think when you put the ooh with the clapping, I feel
Mhm.
like it you're just going all in with it. That makes it work.
This has the ooh ooh oohs and the clapping. I mean, it has
Yeah,
everything, right?
yeah. You put them together. I mean, you put those two things together, then it's like all good. Because when someone just unapologetically just putting these things in, it rocks.
But yeah, like this one rocks, and it's also real poppy too. It's like I think it's almost like at its heart a traditional just pop anthem song with, and it seems like it drives to that chorus. It's in the photograph of love. It's very simple, but it drives to that main thought of the song there, and then it goes back into the bouncy, if you want it, no, like, it just that surrounds a very simplistic theme, but it works perfectly. And some of the things they say are really cool, and again may have connected a little bit more to a younger me than they do now. But if you blew it, don't reject it. Just keep drawing up the plans and re-erect it. That's a younger Chris that is definitely having some trouble with asking the ladies out on potentially a date or something like that. Like, if you blew it this time, that's okay. Like, there's another chance down the road, and you could sing that to yourself and feel better. But man, this is another one that just it just couldn't get more iconic for me. So a lot of nostalgia with this one. And the only other point that I'll make, Tom, is that I talked a little bit about how, he moved away from the specifics of Pinkerton, like the specifics of Pink Triangle, the specifics of Why Bother. Like, there were a lot of things that he gave you there. This one, it's just themes. Like, it's just nostalgia. It's just relationships. but it's nothing necessarily specific, which again works for this album.
Hmm.
It works perfectly. What did you think about Photograph?
Yeah, I loved it. Following up "Don't Let Go," I thought this is a great one-two punch at the beginning, and one of you pretty much said everything that I agree with all that you said. The one part that I absolutely, when you get kind of the chills when you listen to a song, or you get like the hairs on the back of your neck stand up or something
I
like that.
do.
I get that in this song when it first kicks in, because that kick in is so good after the intro. Like, if you want, because everybody wants to know. Like, when it gets into that, the guitar is so gnarly when it comes in there. I'm just like, especially when I was playing that one along with it the other day, I was like, it's so fun. It's just, I mean, it's simple, but again, back to that tone is just so full. And yeah, with that melody, it just feels so good. So, a huge fan of this song. And I do like, it's in the photograph. I like that part because it kind of switches it up. You made the point of in "Don't Let Go." You said it was a key change. I don't think it actually changed keys, but it gives you like that I think what you were thinking is like it gives you that minor feeling, or a feel of it's not as like major happy sounding. And it's really cool when they do that, because then when it comes back into the part after that, it refreshes you on it and it feels so good. Where it's like, oh, we're back to the like really catchy poppy part, even though that part was good. I totally know what you're saying, because there's a couple of songs on this album specifically that do that really well. And I think the first two are two of those like perfect examples. And it just like, you're back in it and you're just like bopping around when you get back into the major sounding chords. And sometimes they go to like the seventh, and they go to some interesting chords that every now and again on this album. But yep, love this song. Great second track.
That's a great way to put it, by the way. I'm not going to forget. I wrote that down. That I wrote that refreshing sound. I wrote
Mm-hmm.
that down because that is exactly the way that I feel about this song. So great one. And hey, let's talk about another great one. Tom, this next one was the one that you and I and potentially a lot of others may have heard first.
Mm-hmm.
When we first heard about this Green album coming out and saw the sumo wrestlers and a bunch of stuff going on in this weird song. So next one's Hash Pipe, and I'm going to hand it off to you.
Ooh, this song. Gosh. I I remember, so you asked me before about my opinion on Pinkerton when it first came out, and this when it first came out. I remember not loving this song when it first came out. I liked it a lot, but when I re-listened to it, I absolutely adore it for a lot of reasons. I think this song differentiates itself nicely on this album. I think this is a good break with there's not a lot of palm muting on this album. Like the dun 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 dun. That is really cool. I mean, obviously that part is super simple, but it just like the chugging along sounds so good. It kind of reminds me of the way that Green Day, and I know I bring up Green Day a lot, but the verses in Brain Stew and like Hitching a Ride, it's dun 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 or dun 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 dun, like a very cool, like, but simple, rhythmic kind of verse guitar part underneath with a really catchy melody. The melody on this verse is so awesome. You're like, where did that come from? You're just like, what just happened? I did not expect that to be the melody. It's so awesome. And okay, I told you about when Photograph kicks in and I felt the chills. When this one kicks into the you're just like, what? This is unbelievably awesome. You just feel that guitar. That is ripping guitar. Like, there is no better tone on this album than when that guitar opens up to play the same verse with just full on chords. That is perfection to me. Like, I wish that I came up with that. I wish that I like when playing along with that is so fun. It is three chords. It's just so simple. Sounds so good. And then the accented dun 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 like that. Oh, come on, that is just brilliant. That part is. I'm curious if they were just messing around. You know, I always think about little things like that. That actually, if it didn't happen in the song now, we would all miss it and we'd be so upset. Like if I saw them perform it live and they didn't do that, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, why didn't you do that? It's one of the best parts of the song. And I wonder if it just kind of came out where there was a little thing in the recording and he's like, oh, I'll just do a little sound over that or something. And it became a thing because that part is awesome. It really makes that. And then one last comment on this, and I'd love to hear what you think, but
Sure.
In the history of misheard lyrics, I had one on this that is just like, so I didn't even know the words to this song until I started reading them the other day. I swear every time I hear it, I still, even after reading it, I was like, he's saying, I've got my ass wipe, not eyes wide, because it rhymes with hash pipe. I've got my ass wipe, you've got your big jeans, like Jenko jeans. I'm like, that is what he's saying. That is what I want him to be saying. I know he's not saying that, but I've got my ass wipe like that. I want that line to be in there that rhymes with hash pipe, not eyes wide or whatever. So in the history of misheard lyrics, that goes down as one of my favorite ones that I still hear it.
That's got to be pretty common. Like I feel, I didn't even talk to you about that at all. We did not talk about this. I did not say a word to Tom about this song, but those are exactly the lyrics that I remember and that I sing to. Okay, so this is not anything new to me either. I don't know what you've got your big G's mean. I guess that means money, or I don't know what that means.
I don't know.
But I definitely don't hear I got my eyes wide. But I always thought to myself, like, can you say ass wiped on MTV? And can you say that on the radio? Because I don't think you can.
Oh wait, do you think it says I got my ass wiped as in
yes
past tense? I thought it said I've got my ass wipe, like I've got my butt wipe that I need to go to the bathroom.
No, it's like it happened before.
Oh, I've got this like wet wipe that I'm taking into the stall.
Like I'm good. I got it wiped. It's fine.
That's even better.
Yeah. Yeah. Either way. What did you call the dun 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 dun? You called it palm muting? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, basically you've got a guitar that's played openly where it's just strumming like da na 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 na, like the beginning of Don't Let Go. Da na 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 na, just open playing. When you mute the strings with your playing hand, so the hand that's holding the pick, you can put your hand up against the strings and then you get that muted sound, which is kind of like dulled down, like dun dun, like it crunches, like the dun 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 dun. That's called palm muting. It's a very, you hear it in all types of songs. Lots of pop punk songs do it in verses and things, but it's a very common technique. It's awesome, and that's how he makes it sound kind of like that crunchy way.
Would you call that a riff though? That dun 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 dun. Is that a guitar riff?
That's tough. That's a good question because it's three chords. It's technically chords, and it's not. Normally, I would think of a riff would be single notes, technically playing like some sort of lead.
Mm-hmm.
But it is. I feel like it could be considered a riff because it's very memorable, and sometimes maybe just riff would mean, hey, it's something that is very catchy, and it's got its own melody, even though it's chords, just because of the way that it's played. So I could go either way.
Well, here, I know this is my time, but I got a question for you. Do you consider this one of their greatest, if we call it a riff, let's just call it a riff, is this one of their greatest riffs that they've ever written?
When you say one of, are we talking top 10? Or are we talking top 3?
5.
No. 10, yes.
Okay.
5, but 5, no.
I might put it top 5 because it is that powerful. You said it. You said it. When that hits in the middle, especially like that solo, but that anytime that hits, it gives you goosebumps. I'm sorry. Anything that gives me goosebumps is top 5. I don't care.
Okay. I respect that.
I think we got to build that list eventually, but I think for right now, without having a list in front of me, it's top five greatest Weezer riffs that I've ever heard. This song, and here's my other thematic point about Hash Pipe is, and by the way, I love this one. I think this is a must have on Green because Tom, if this isn't on this album, do you think this album becomes a little bit less interesting?
100% yes. I think without track 3 and 4, this album is flatlines. 3 and 4 are the perfect pieces to this like bridge between the beginning and the end of the album, in my opinion. 100% agree.
But even again, thematically, like you think about Photograph, it's about a relationship, or about, back and forth, whatever. Don't Let Go, relationships, Island in the Sun, dreamy, soft. We'll talk about it. Hash Pipe is dark. It's about, street life. It's about, maybe potentially even prostitution. I don't know, but this is not light. Like this is heavier stuff. And it's weird in what he's talking about. But it's crunchy, it's darker, it's harder riffs. It's all the stuff that these songs around it aren't, and I love that. It breaks it up perfectly. It gives this album dimension. It gives it something memorable. It was a great way to kick things off as the first single because it made you turn your head. Wow, what is this? Is that Weezer? That sounds awesome. I got to hear more. It was masterful. Like you think about Weezer, you think about Rivers as a songwriter and what he's able to do with the things that he does. I marvel at it, and this is one of those examples. And I also love, and you brought it up too, the falsetto here from Rivers. The way that he's able to make that work, and he's done that throughout his career. And there's other songs where he goes falsetto, and he does it a lot here. He goes falsetto, and he goes "Da-da-da-da," and then he goes down, like, and then he calls and answers himself with two separate ways of singing, and it's so iconic. So I think a combination between what I said and you said, it sounds like we're pretty big fans of
Mm-hmm.
Hash Pipe, and I think a lot of other people would agree too.
Yeah, he's just to put some final thoughts on there. He is one of the kings of the falsetto back to the normal singing style. Like it's such a seamless. Out of my mind. You can like get back into it, and you do normally a falsetto. Like hey, this person's singing falsetto, and it sounds like falsetto, which isn't a bad thing. But you can, with him, I feel like he gets away with I'm not fixated on the fact that this person is singing falsetto. It's just like his normal singing. But then I listen back, I'm like, oh my gosh, he does it so well. And his voice sounds so good in that register too.
And I mean, you're a singer. Is that hard to do? Is it hard to do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it's hard. I mean, singing falsetto isn't hard to do. I feel like that's something that a lot of people could do pretty easily, but doing it well and then getting in and like staying on pitch and then getting into your normal voice without it sounding like you switch to your normal voice is awesome and very difficult, in my opinion.
I think I sound good in the car when I sing this, so I think that
I'm sure
I
you
think
do.
I think I just kill it. This is another one of those songs, and I swear I won't say anything about Hash Pipe, that I want to learn how to play guitar. Like I want to learn how to play this someday. So a lot of these songs are in that boat, by the way. So all right, Island of the Sun. We already did a little bit of intro on this one. We talked about it in a couple different ways in some of our opening conversations. But I think we've already established the fact that Island in the Sun, iconic culturally, it's one of their most well known songs. It's definitely in direct contrast with Hash Pipe. It's stark contrast. You go from what we just all talked about to something. It's again, it's sleepy, it's dreamy, it's smooth, it's relaxed, it's chill. You're on an island in the sun, and you feel like you are. It's a great mixture of acoustic and electric. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things that if it's not acoustic and electric and it's all electric, then it sure sounds like it to me. But there is a transition from the verse into the chorus with that big electric sound that I think is one of the main reasons why this song works so well. It's again such a genius main riff, and Rivers again. We just talked about it with that. Huh, remember you said that
Yeah.
something that small, but in this song, something as small as hip hip. Like, can you imagine the fact that is that's something that just throwaway is such a big part of this track? Like, just knowing that little hip hip is it just adds so much to the experience here. So love that. Love that. And it probably was an accident or something he just did. And they said, oh, let's keep it in there. Um, I don't know. I just, the contrasts between the electric and the regular, that was my big thing here. I think I'll let you take the rest, but I think the song is iconic for a reason. I think that it just hits all the right chords. And it's just mainstream enough to be what it is today. It fits so many different circumstances. It appeals to so many different types of people that like so many different types of things. That I think that's why it has become as popular as it has for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think, Tom?
Yeah, this is an undeniably amazing song. And obviously, I've heard it so many times that it's hard to continue to feel that way. But I like this one, especially on this album, because of what you said about the clean guitar. And I do think there's some acoustic in the back of it too. When I was listening to headphones, I can hear sometimes you can pick up on hearing the pick actually playing over the strings. And I think that's when they do the acoustic, the way that it's mic'd up. But I do love that. It's reminiscent of the Say It Ain't So vibe, in my opinion, like a poppier version, because you've got that clean verse. It's kind of like that, like it's got that same kind of idea. And then it goes to the harder chorus, the distortion. So obviously they're vastly different songs, but just the concept is similar. I like that. And I wonder, you were talking about that hip, hip. I wonder do you think he's saying HEP, HEP, or HIP? Hip, hip,
I've always thought it was HIP, just hip hip.
hip,
Yeah.
hip. Okay, like hip, hip, hooray. I wonder if because you mentioned Goldfinger before, and I love Goldfinger. You know, there's all the ska and punk stuff when they're playing some ska riffs that's like, pick it up,
Pick
and
it up.
like, hip, 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 like those sorts of things. So I wonder if that, like, if he drew that from any sort of like ska punk influence, and maybe he would, like, to your point, he was messing around in the studio, like, wow, this actually works really well. And it was one of those things, if it wasn't there, we would miss it terribly. If that thing was gone, like that makes that part. It would be a little bit. It might get a little monotonous if it wasn't there. Just hearing that guitar. So I love little things like that. I think that's so cool. This song is fabulous. It's really neat. So yeah, hit for me.
There's something to be said about a song that every time you turn it on, you feel a certain way. Like this is one of those songs that you feel good when you turn this song on. Even though we've heard it a billion zillion times,
Mm-hmm.
I still feel good when I turn this song on every time.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. That's right. That's a good point. I don't think it's ever bothered me to have it on. I may not love hearing it anytime, but I've never been turned off by it. And you're going to the beach with your boys, right?
Oh,
This is
man.
right where you are. You are in that moment,
That's
especially
it.
on this song, because it's like say island in the sun. We're at the beach.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
This is it. This is what it is. So,
Mm-hmm. Can't top it.
ooh, man, I'm tired. We have a lot to say. I actually no, I'm getting a second wind because now, this is where we go into the point of the album that I think is a crossroads for a lot of people.
I get scared here. I'm scared of this part.
And so it's not necessarily the latter half, it's getting into, I guess you could call it the second, almost like the second and some change half of the album. It's not even half, but this is where, you don't have any more of the singles. This is where you don't have any more of those iconic, just well-known tracks. But I think that this is where you either have some people that say that you still get some really, really great formulaic versions of songs that, even though they do follow that same formula, they're still outstanding one by one. Or you get people that say, you know what? I get tired after this point in time because I hear the same thing song after song after song after song. So let's talk about that and let's go into the next song, which is Crab. Uh, so Tom, I think you're going to kick this one off, but I will just kind of start things off by saying that I never really understood what he was talking about.
Yeah, what is crab if you need it? What does that even mean?
I don't know. Don't know. What did you think about this one?
I think it's pretty good. Um, after you come off a wave like tracks 1 through 4, I didn't know what was going to come next. And the part I was saying about trying to distinguish the melodies later on in this album is more difficult for me. And I gave every song as many re-listens, equal re-listens when I got back into this. And I never felt a lot of momentum at the end of this album. I think the songs are good. I think there's some really great melodies, like kind of buried in some of these songs. But this Crab song is fine. I kind of, give or take, maybe probably way down on my list of Weezer songs in general. If you're talking about the first 3 albums totally that I've come to at this point, I think this is a lot lower than where it might be on yours based on your face right now.
Okay.
But
no, I'm fine.
No, average song to me.
Okay.
That's all
Fair
I can
enough.
say.
I think you might be in the majority too. And I think that I see it a little bit different of a way. First of all, fun fact, Rivers was obsessed over the way that he was going to say crab or sing crab in this song that I read that he recorded himself singing just the word crab or practiced it hundreds of times before he finally got that correct. So,
why? Wait, was there any
perfectionist?
reason?
I don't know.
That's funny.
Guess he just wanted a certain tonality in the way that he said crab, and he does say crab a lot here, for sure. And no, I don't know what that means. He's talking about something like crabbing at the booty, and I don't know what that means. I'm sure it's a term that potentially was used in his lifetime or whatever. But here's what I think about this one. First of all, the weirdness of the lyrics make it memorable to me, right? If crab wasn't in this song and it was just other stuff or stuff that actually did make sense, this would be less of a memorable song. So I'm good with crab being as weird as it is and how it's kind of out of place. I also think that the call and answer pieces of this song, like good, 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 and down, down, down. Like this one's very simple. Again, super simple. A lot of just like the same word over and over again. A lot of using crab at the blank or crab at the whatever. She won't be coming back. She won't be coming home. She won't be doing this. Like it's the same thing over and over again. But the melody, I think, carries it along. I actually really like this melody. And I really like the intro too. Like another one of those hard intros that goes into the first part, that just starts off with crab. If you want to, she won't be coming down, 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 down. I find that to be entertaining. So I don't know if I have much more to say about this one other than it's I don't know, just memorable. I dig the sound, I dig the melody, but I get why people might, get some fatigue starting here with this song. They just don't connect as much as I do.
Do you think if you played this for anybody that they'd be able to tell what the word he's if they didn't know the song title? Do you think they'd be able to say, "Oh, he's saying crab"?
Um, I don't know. I think they would be confused.
Because I don't think anyone would pick the word crab out. I thought they might say cry if you wanna, like cry. It kind of sounds like that. So
Yeah,
no one's,
potentially. Potentially. Hey, there was one more thing I wanted to bring up too on the solo for this one. So same deal. Like this one does the solo of the melody, like the other ones do, pretty quick in and out. But this one seemed to have a little bit more distortion on it than some of the others, and I really
yeah.
like that. I really like that. I thought that really stuck out.
It had like a phaser. I think they were using some. There's a couple of solos on here that they mix it up where they put a pedal, they use some effects on it. And I think this was that one. I was like, wow, like flanger, like wow, wow, wow. I was kind of doing that thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like them mixing it up like that. That's a good. If you're gonna do the same thing every song and play the melody, at least change the tone a little bit.
Plus, they overlaid some lyrics over the over that solo too. Some oohs,
Yeah,
ooh.
that's right. That's right.
So
And that's a cool thing that we should mention. We should have mentioned this before too, though. But they play these melodies on the guitar in all 10 songs. Like it happens in every song. But there's some slight differences in the way they do it, where they'll actually start singing after, as in that was kind of playing the part of that singing verse, and then pick up where it was like left off, where that part had left off. And I really like that style where they're like, oh, I'm not actually just going to sing this part. I'm going to play it on guitar. And then as soon as the next part comes in, I'm just going to go right into it. It's kind of cool.
absolutely. Hey, so this next song, Knocked On Drag Out, this is in and out. I mean, we're talking about just over 2 minutes. So, this is like what's the song? Oh, I keep saying brain suit. Basket Case. Like
Oh, yeah,
almost
yeah.
like that's short. But hey, by the way, you had brought up Green Day. I did read that Weezer did study Green Day music, and that would make sense. I mean, they were around at the same time, and I know Green Day came up a little bit earlier than that. Like by the mid '90s, Green Day was already pretty established. I guess Weezer was too, but wasn't Green Day like much earlier that they got their start?
Oh, well, they both broke in 1994 with their albums. Like Blue and Dookie came out the same year. And
Yeah,
I know Green Day has a longer history as a band by a few years, I think.
Kerplunk, and then they
Yeah,
did some
exactly.
EPs before that, and yeah,
We're
okay,
talking late 80s for Green Day, and I probably like early 90s for Weezer. But hey, they I feel like they were pals at one point, because I know they went on a tour semi recently together. But on El Scorcho, he's like, I asked you to go to the Green Day
they
concert. There's nothing
did. Yeah,
there's nothing cooler than that. Like the call outs to other bands in your songs, and they're like really popular bands.
they did.
That's cool.
And it was when they did it at the Hella Mega tour, and he actually played that song, and Green Day was there. That was something
So
else too.
cool. That's fun.
Came full circle, but yeah, this was a quick one. Knocked on Drag Out. I thought this one was a lot of fun. It was very quick. The beat was super quick. 1 2 1 2 1 2. I found it to be entertaining. I like how they did like the fast start sentences, the lyrical sentences lit, and then so the first half of the lyric or the line was, any day now you were
Da,
caught
da,
down
da,
on the
da, da,
floor,
da.
and then he would go like one word at a time at the end. I always thought that was cool. So same with the solo here. I think the solo seemed to get louder, like it added another dimension. It had a little bit of distortion or wah to it. I like that a lot here, and it's another one of those songs that it doesn't get into details. It's about relationships. It's just about a relationship that is a knocked on drag out, but that's all they give you, and that's all you need, because all they really
Mhm.
want you to pay attention to is the theme and the melody, and to have some fun. And that's what I had here. What about
Yeah,
you?
pretty much the same. I could sum it up in like 10 seconds. It's a really solid melody. It's a Out of the back half of the album, this one's my favorite. I prefer this one to the some of the other ones. And I do like that melody, like you were saying. I like that choppy da 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 da. Like it's very catchy. And I just like it. It's just a straightforward, solid song. I think it's got a lot of merit there. So it is what it is. 2 minutes and then we're moving right along.
We are moving right along, and the next one, Tom, is probably a love song. Probably, but maybe not. I don't know. Depends on how you take it. It's called Smile. And what did you think about this one?
I mean, again, this one's fine. Another kind of just like Crab to me, where take it or leave it. I mean, it doesn't make this album, in my opinion. It just kind of exists. It sits here. It matches the other stuff. But Chris, I had to take notes on some of the words that were being sung so that I could remember what songs we're even talking about. Because
Mhm.
at this point, when I get to Smile and Simple Pages and Glorious Day and Old Girlfriend, I'm kind of like, what? They all start to blend together at this point. And that's not to say they're not good songs, but they're not as memorable to me at this point. So I don't have a ton on Smile, but you tell me what are your thoughts?
I have something to say about that too when we get to Simple Pages. So just
Okay.
hold that one thought about all of these songs kind of just blending together, because I want to have a discussion about something. But yeah, I think that Smile was, it was impactful in a lot of ways. I mean, it was a love song. It maybe wasn't, necessarily as strong of an intro for me. The melody here was fine, but it got better. Like it was fine to begin, and then I just kind of fell into this one, and I think a lot of it had to do with the lyrics. I love the lyric, because I don't want to break your fine face. I can't take the way you want to wrap me up inside your smile. Like, if you're thinking about it from that perspective, for me again, nostalgia, younger guy thinking about, the girl, it it brings you back and make connects with you, and you think about that, and I don't know, it's hard for me to disconnect from all of that nostalgia I had with the fact that I like the song. I mean, I just don't know if there's much more I can say about it. So I also here's another technical piece about this one is I again hear that shift down. I can't be gone, darling. Like, is that a tone shift? Or is that just him singing lower?
Yeah, well, it's him. I think him singing lower, especially because he gets really low on that one, right? I can't be done,
It's
done, done. He gets really quiet. I just think that's a nice dynamic that he brings in there, and I think it's also some of the notes that he's choosing at that melody don't sound like a lot of the other melodies on this album. That's another reason why you're kind of drawn to it, I feel like. But I do remember that part. See, that's one of the parts I like, oh yeah, that brings me back to that. I liked that part.
because the because I don't want to break your fine face. I can't take. Is that falsetto, or is that because I don't want to break? I guess it kind of is, but
That's
maybe
his thing. I think Chris, that's his thing where he's like you sometimes you can't even tell if he's in there because he's got such a cool voice and
yeah.
so good at controlling it up there that cuz I don't want to break.
Mhm.
I think it's like it might be a combination. There might be some notes that he's in there and some that he's not.
So I okay this, and I'm ready to move on to the next one here. That's Smile, Simple Pages. So simply put, I know I didn't want to go that route, but
Uh,
it just came
It
out that
worked.
way. I think this song is outstanding. I think
Okay.
it's I think this is a standout on this album. It may be my favorite song.
Dang. Okay.
I just think the chorus here is one of the most memorable. It's just iconic in my own mind. It has that huge opening with the melody. The melody instantly connects with my brain. It has that grungy riff. It has bouncy lyrics. It has build to it too. Give me something I can believe. I love that part. Like the way that it just kind of breaks the song. Oh, baby. And then it goes back into the give me some love, give me some love, give me some.
Da, da,
Like,
da, 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 da.
oh my God. Like there's so many good things about this, but it's the build to like the big choruses. It's just the best thing. And, can't you see where to be this time? Simple pages on my mind. It goes back to that same theme I was just talking about. As a guy in his late teens, like how could you not just fall right into this one? Um, Here's one more thing, and this also goes back to something else I said. The kick it on back, kick it on back, kick it on back to what you know. Is that a commentary on the Blue album? Is that them saying like, let's kick it back to what what you knew before.
Hmm.
Let's simple pages on my mind, like the simple songwriting that was on Blue. Like I want to bring it back to that. I doubt it. I doubt that has anything to do with anything, but it might be. And it's something that I thought about with this one.
No, no, I think you're onto something there. I don't think you should shy away from that point because I think maybe before might have been kind of a stretch, but even though I even with Don't Let Go, I still agree with you. This one, they talk about the radio, though, right? Wasn't there a part about like song on the
He says,
radio?
give me some love, sugar on the hard rock radio.
Yeah, so he's like saying, "Hey, I'm gonna write some simple songs, which we know that these 10 songs are pretty simple in nature, and give me some love. Kick it back to where we were before, like you were saying, where we started writing songs and we felt good. If all this is true about him, you know, not feeling good after Pinkerton, then I would say you're probably spot on. That tracks pretty well to me.
The emotion that he puts into that last part where he sings, he belts out, "Can't you see you're just me? Turn these pages of my mind." Like that's one of the best lines in the way that it's sung. I mean this brings me back to songs like Only in Dreams. Like it's that good in my opinion. So this one really hit, Tom. This one hit big time and it never went away.
Okay. I got to give a lot of love to the give me some love, give me some love, give me da 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 da. That part's really catchy. That's a really cool melody, and they have a couple of those. You were saying it before about da 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 da, like that style, like da 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 da. They got a nice, I don't know, the way that it flows. It's a little bit different than just a straightforward melody, and I think this one does it really well. So. I love thinking about. I never even considered the lyrics. I didn't even think about it on this one, but I think you're absolutely right, and that makes it cooler to me. If he's kind of like, "Can't you see? You're just me, Chris. You're just me. You're just a lover of music, just like me. We're all here. We're all human, just exposing ourselves in this land of Green Album and Pinkerton and what. And I just realized Pinkerton actually has a color in it, which is funny. I never thought about that either.
Pink. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so silly.
The Pink album. Turn these pages of my mind. Okay, so here's what I wanted to bring up about not so much not so much specifically about this song, but sequencing. So did the sequencing of this album hurt Simple Pages? Did it hurt the other songs like Smile and Knock Down Drag Out? Like, did it hurt them? Whereas, like, if you just listen to these on a playlist in a mixtape, would they hit differently for you?
If you just switched Simple Pages with Crab, I think that would be a lot better for me. Like swap those tracks on the album.
What if you mix in? What if instead of doing Hash Pipe, Island in the Sun, what if you mix and put Island in the Sun in between Smile and Simple Pages? Or I don't know, like
Mm.
what if you don't front load this with all the hits? I mean, I feel like it would give some of these latter tracks more breathing room to come into their own. I feel like it doesn't bother me because I love them all, so it doesn't matter. But I'm just thinking from somebody that feels that they get a little samey, would that have helped?
Yeah, it probably would have. I mean, this
And
isn't it
do
weird?
you
There's that.
feel that on their own it's a different entity versus them being on this album, the way they are?
Yeah, I do. It's like when I think back to other albums all the time, there's always those specific spots that people choose purposefully to put like the best songs. And that's just a thing. That's like a known thing, right? One always has to be really good. It seems like three is always something. And every now and again, I think seven always seems to be like a hot track too, like a the seventh song on there. But that would have been cool if Island in the Sun was on seven. But either way, front loading with the good ones is always a technique, a tactic, I guess. And yeah, I would like to see this kind of mixed up a little. That would have been fun. I like your idea of even throwing Island in the Sun later on. What'd you say in between Smile and Simple Pages? That should have been
Sure.
our task for tonight. Recreate the track list to make it even more desirable for us.
Sure. I'd love some more opinions on that because I think that would definitely approach
Hmm.
that topic. But let's keep it going and let's talk about Glorious Day. So if there was a song that I felt the way that you did about these last couple songs, it might be this one. This is definitely my least favorite song on the album. I think that it's the placement, it might fall into that rut, that we just talked about of it doesn't stand out enough for me to be able to listen to this one. And again, it's the same formula. It's the same formula. It's the big chorus. It's that melodic solo. Everything that we've talked about so far. This one has it, but it doesn't hit as hard as some of the other ones. It definitely doesn't hit as hard as Simple Pages. I generally listen to Glorious Day, but then I go back and listen to Simple Pages again. So I don't know. This one didn't hit for me as much. How about you?
You would have taken two Simple Pages and just skipped over.
I would
Yeah,
have.
I agree. There's one redeeming part of this song, but it actually reminds me of a Beatles song. Just the melody of the "You know what you want me to say." That there's something that melody sounded so familiar. You ever hear those melodies? And you're just like, I can't freaking place that thing. So I don't have the exact Beatles song that I think it sounds like, but it just was very reminiscent to me of Beatles. And that was the one redeeming part of this song that I took away. The rest of it I could have done without. I agree. This is probably the weakest song on the album. I would have just deleted it and been fine. I would have rather have 9 songs at whatever 20 to 25 minutes or something.
It's so funny because in some of the different sources that I read about this track, there's people that feel like this is the most underrated song on the entire album.
Dang. Okay.
I just don't get it. I think the one thing you said that was really interesting is that Beatles sound. One of the other things I found in some of the research that I did was that so I told you they had brought back Rick Ocasek to do the producing, and you know who that is, right? You know who Rick Ocasek is?
The Cars, of course.
Yeah, the Cars. So what it was is that for this song, I think it based on what others have thought, like it brought in some 60s era pop stylings, and that would fit right in for with what you're saying because that's the Beatles, 60s era pop stylings. You know what you want me to say, like that's right there. Maybe that just doesn't connect with me as much. I don't know, but it all kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, Weezer's pretty well known for their last track. You know, on a lot of albums that we love, the last track is a signature. It's a stamp. It's a memorable track. You know, Butterfly, Only in Dreams. We've already talked about that many times, amongst others. This one live up to that last track standard, in your opinion?
No, to be honest, I do enjoy this song, and I love the chorus, the way he belts it out. Oh, girlfriend. I think the lyrics are a little silly. That's the end. Oh, girlfriend, that's the end. Like that was your rhyme, girlfriend and end. I don't know. Just kind of kind of silly to me, but I enjoy the song and I really like the melody of the verse. Um this is another song that reminds me of a different melody. This is a completely different band called Ash, ASH. I don't know if you're familiar with that band,
Mm-mm.
but the funny thing is that band appeared on the Angus soundtrack, which Weezer was also featured on. But they had an album called 1977 that came out in the 90s, and there was a song called Girl from Mars that I absolutely love. So if you have a chance, check it out. And anybody who hasn't heard that band Ash, check it out. It's really cool. But there's a melody in that song that kind of reminds me of this. And I'm wondering, like, did Weezer hear that? Because they're in kind of the same genre at that time, and maybe they took it. It was the part that's like, um, and I wanted to do this. Waste our time. Ah, shoot! Now I'm losing the melody, but it's part of the verse where he does this little drop off at the tail end of the word. He says, "Oh, the way." Da, da, da,
You
da, da,
know
da.
what you want me to say. Right, right, fight, fight. We could sort of glorious day. Is that it right there?
No, no, that's the one that because that's "Glorious Day" that you're. That's the Beatles melody that I'm talking
Oh,
about.
where am I
That's
at?
so that no, it's so funny that you're saying that because that's another reminiscent melody. So that's what's stuck in your head. No, it's the one that's like, I miss you and I
Yeah.
wonder who, and I can't remember, but it's a waste our time away. Da 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 da.
We're
So
apart.
yeah, it's
And
something like that. But either way, it reminds me of that song, and it makes me feel really good, even if it does sound like it was borrowed. I love that "Girl from Mars" song, and so I like "Oh Girlfriend," but I don't think it lives up to the caliber of "Only in Dreams" or "Butterfly." What about you?
I love how you're talking about the song. I'm thinking about the song. I know what song you're talking about, and then I sing the song before it.
No, it's because you just proved the point that I feel like a lot of us experience that we can't differentiate a lot of the songs at the end of this album
No, that's
because
proving the point that Chris in the year 2001 listening to this album may have had one too many Miller Lights. I don't know.
at the beach. That's right. There you go.
Yeah, I think this is a great ending. I think this actually harkens back to a lot of the themes of Pinkerton. Like it gets back into that emotion. It gets back into that specificity. You know, he talks about girlfriend. Like he talks about that raw emotion. He brings it back. He wants to say, okay, I gave you a lot of just generalities. Now, like I really want to pour a little bit more into this one based on how I feel. And I just want you to know, like, that guy's still in here. That's what I see here in this one. And, you know, pair that with, like you said, just a great melody, a lot to really love in terms of the way that the song is paced. And obviously, you know, the message is the message. It's talking about, you know, lost without your love. Oh, love. A lot of love, but it's a really nice track. It's just a really well done, nice track. It talks about what it talks about, very simple and in effect. But you know, hey, you're a Pinkerton guy. I'm surprised at you.
I
I'm
know.
surprised you don't like this one as much.
I know. And it does kind of sound like a Suzanne or like a "You Gave Your Love to Me Softly." It's got that
Could
same
be.
style, but there's something about it doesn't. Maybe it's the lyrics that don't fully get me. I'm not sure. Like the two. I don't know. I like the song. Don't get me wrong. And I know that towards the end I was saying some slightly negative things, but it's undeniable that all these melodies are catchy. Whether or not I can remember some versus the others, they're still like super catchy. It's just like a solid pop rock album.
Is it pop rock in your opinion, or is it alt rock, or is alt rock not a thing?
I mean, in 2001, it probably would have been called alt rock, but I think right now I would call it pop rock because there's so much pop in the melodies and the song, the structure. Like, just, I don't know. It feels pretty pop to me, but would you call it alt rock? If you were describing it to someone today, what would you call it?
I mean, this one, this album in particular, a little bit
Yeah.
more on the pop side, yeah, a little bit more on
Okay.
the pop side, which is fine,
Pop alt rock, pop alt.
which is fine. I mean, Pinkerton's alt rock for sure.
Oh
Blue
yeah.
is kind of a mix, a little bit more on the alt side, but
Yes.
you know, I don't know.
Garage. Blue got some of that garage aspect in it too.
You know, Tom, this is we did it. We got through 10 tracks. It took a long time, but I'll tell you what, there was a lot to talk about with this one. And we had a lot of opinions, a lot of emotion, a lot of nostalgia, and it was definitely well worth it. I wanted to pour everything I had into this one because of my connection with it, and hopefully I was able to do that. I know you did as well. This might be one of my favorite conversations I've ever had. So just letting you know. Just letting
That-
you know.
That's awesome.
But
I loved it.
we aren't done yet. We got to rank it. You know the drill. For those of you
Hmm.
that have never listened to one episode of High School Never Ends, we'd never end an episode without going into the final segment, which is called Ranking It. We got to rank our top three, three, two, one, in order. No honorable mentions on what we thought were the three best tracks on the album that we talk about. So we're talking about Green. We got to rank. Tom, you're our guest. You got to go first. So the floor is yours.
All right. It's going to be pretty simple. It's just whatever combination I want to put these three in, and I'm actually I'm honorable mentioning Island in the Sun just to put it out there. It's not going to make my list, but my list is going to be comprised of songs, tracks 1, 2, and 3. Just now, you have to guess the order of 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to put number 3 as Don't Let Go. I'm going to put number 2 as Photograph, and number 1 as actually Hash Pipe. Just strictly based on the re-listen and that guitar, we'll call it the riff, when it opens up, just does everything for me at that point. So, Photograph, Don't Let Go, Hash Pipe.
This is a tough one for me. I'll tell you what. I'm going to go number 3, Don't Let Go,
Okay.
because it's undeniable the way that this album starts. Iconic, undeniable, memorable, all of those things. And that's because of Don't Let Go. So that's number 3. Number 2 has got to be Hash Pipe. It just does. It is an iconic hit. It has a video, but what a riff. What a feeling. What a vibe. Weird as hell, but it doesn't matter. It needed to be on this album. It has a place that cannot be replaced on Green. This would, like I said, like we said, this would be a different album without it. So it definitely needs to be in the top 3. And I think you guys already know Simple Pages is number 1. I'm sorry, Island in the Sun is not on my top 3, but there's a lot of reasons for that. We don't have time for it right now to get into it. But I think that those are my 3. Number 1 is Simple Pages. It just hits different for me personally. And I think it's the number 1 song on this album. I could listen to it over and over again, infinite times. And I have. And I have. And I will.
Continue on. I love
will.
that.
I will. And that's Green, ladies and gentlemen. We talked it from front to back to front. We talked about it before. We'll talk about it after. Tom, I don't think there's much more to talk about here. Any other thoughts, feelings, comments about Green before we wrap things up for this evening?
I can't reiterate enough on how much I love that wall of guitar. So I'm just so happy that we still get to listen to this album and I still get to experience that and play along with it. And I hope people who listen to Weezer like today, if they never heard this album or they weren't around when it came out or they were a lot younger, that they're going back and able to revisit this amongst others, because it is a special album. It may not be my favorite, but it is a very special album. So, and I'm really thankful that you invited me on here, Chris, to talk about this. I really appreciate it. It's always cool to be with you. And it's really neat to hear that this was so important to you. I think that's such a cool part of this discussion, that this album means so much to you, because I 100% get that. And I know it was probably really tough on you to pick your top 3 for this, and to hear someone who may have thought like some of these songs blend together towards the end, but I respect the conversation. And again, I'm thankful that you invited me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't have had it any other way. I love talking about Weezer, and I love talking about Weezer with another fan. And I love talking about Weezer with you. Hey, I'm a Tom guy. You guys should be a Tom guy too, but maybe not the Tom you're thinking of. I'm more talking about the Tom that's on this show. That said, Tom, anything you want to plug before we wrap things up for today?
If you all want to check out the songs that I wrote, Chris brought these back up to me again earlier, but you go listen to some music that I create on Throw Thermal Pod. It's on Instagram and it's on Spotify and Apple Music if you want to hear it. I'd love to know if y'all are digging it or not liking it or just opinions. It's just kind of out there in the universe to be enjoyed and consumed however you like. That would be really it.
Absolutely. Go check that out. And if you haven't done it yet, please, for all the love in the world, go check out Houston Calls too, because they're amazing. An amazing band, one of my favorites. I know. Tom, you're like, okay,
Thanks, Chris.
Stop.
No, it's
But
kind, man. I appreciate it.
I'm serious. I got the opportunity to see you guys live, and hopefully I get that opportunity again someday. But love it, love it. And hopefully you guys loved this episode of High School Never Ends, where we talked about Weezer Green. That's right. It is a fun time of year. It's the summertime Weezer spectacular, and it does not end here. We have several more Weezer albums we're still going to talk about this month, with or without Wingman Steve. He wants to come back on, he's welcome to come back on. Otherwise, we're still going to talk about it, and I'm still going to have a guest on to help me do that. So hopefully you guys tune back in to check those out. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, go check out, a couple different places you can let us know what you thought. Whether you have Apple or Spotify, you can give us a written review. If you have Apple, you can give us a 5-star review for the show. If you really liked it, we'd love to hear your feedback, of course. You can go check out our shop. We have a ton of stuff that's branded High School Never Ends, like mugs and hats. Go check that out. You can get there via our hub. It's www.hsnepod.com. And oh, by the way, that's also a link to all of our socials. We're on the Insta. We do the Discord. We even do a little bit of Twitter and beyond Facebook, all the stuff. You can check us out there. Great place to interact with us. Let us know what you think about Weezer, what you think about Green, and what you think about pop punk music, because after all, we are pop punk dads. And with that, we'll be back once again next week with a brand new episode. So until then, keep on rocking those dad bods.
Yes.
Throw up those rock hands and blast the Weezer. We'll see you next time.
It's Dragon Wagon.